Well, Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy continues to struggle, brutally so, to lead, or whatever the heck you would call what he's doing right now, the Republican majority in the House of Representatives, and deal with the fact that he now, in part because of his enabling, has this part of his party, the MAGA hardliner part, that is not serious about governing, but instead a whole lot of political stunts and a whole lot of showmanship and obstruction. And he is having to deal with that now. And the American people are suffering for it. And so, of course, this comes in the form of the looming government shutdown. Very soon, the government will shut down if they don't agree on funding. And it doesn't look like Republicans will be able to get their stuff together to make that happen by the end of the month, which is, of course, the deadline. And it's gotten so bad where these hardliners are making such outrageous demands and Ken McCarthy can't get a proposal figured out to fund the government that they're happy with. By the way, as we talked about, one of the demands being defunding the prosecutions of Donald Trump. Absurd, not serious governance whatsoever. And he's too afraid to go work with moderate Democrats to get a funding option put forward, because that would cause, as is currently being threatened, an ousting of him as Speaker of the House by the hardliners. And it's gotten so bad that in this clip I have for you, he seems to admit that negotiating with the Biden White House was more reasonable or was easier than negotiating with his own hardcore MAGA members. Yikes.
I feel like it was easier to negotiate with a Democratic White House in some respects than it is with members of your own party.
Well, when you're negotiating with the Democratic White House, you're negotiating with one-on-one persons with a few of the staff. When you're negotiating here, everybody's king, because one person can close it down. Then once one person gets something, everybody has to get something. Then somebody else has to get something there.
Do you think these people are negotiating in good faith?
Who?
Some of the holdouts.
I think some are, yeah.
Do you think some, not all?
Everybody has their different reasons why.
What do you
Everyone has their different reasons why. So I guess he's saying not everyone's acting in good faith because they have other bad faith reasons for doing what they're doing, which is probably true, but, or it absolutely is true. But again, Kevin, you chose to pick power over principle. You chose to make happy this part of your party to get yourself the position you currently have, rather than taking a principled stand against this part of your party a long time ago. And then his reason for believing that negotiating with Biden during the debt ceiling deal was easier than his own party, because the debt ceiling deal had a smaller number of actors to be negotiated with, whereas this has lots, and all of them have their individual demands, which is probably in part true. But also, when you're negotiating with Biden, Democrats, there's an ambition to actually govern, to actually get things done, to actually reach consensus. Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, and whoever else, they don't have an interest in actual governance, and they don't see as a priority consensus, coming to an agreement that isn't necessarily the most ideal for your positions, but is reasonable enough in between yours and the person you're negotiating with. And so, yeah, of course it's going to be harder when you're in the room with all those different individuals who are both not acting in good faith and not interested in actual effective governance and policy achievements. And then here is Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell calling out the GOP amid this looming shutdown.
Very quick questions. You got what, 11 spending bills to pass individually in 9 days? Will there be a government shutdown?
There shouldn't be. Again, I'm here. I'm ready to work. Democrats are ready to give the votes, to keep the government open. But right now, Republicans, they have failed to protect, they've failed to fund, and they failed to govern. They are the failures. And until they prove otherwise, again, people are going to suffer.
And when this is all done, if it's all done, do you think Kevin McCarthy keeps his job as Speaker?
Again, that's up to his own conference. And if he's looking at that as the priority, then America is going to lose. He needs to choose the country over one criminal, Donald Trump. He needs to choose competence over chaos. And he needs to choose, for the first time in his life, to be a leader rather than a spectator speaker. If he does.
Very quick question.
Ooh, spectator speaker. True that. So again, he has the option of working on a reasonable deal with moderate Republicans and moderate or just and lots of Democrats. He could work on that. He could get something, but likely he would lose his job for it. But this is the moment. Principal power. He's going to choose power most likely, keeping his position based on the demands of these individuals. And then we'll see likely a government shutdown. Now, I have to insert into this conversation once again. Let's compare and contrast. Here is when you, America, gave Democrats the House, majority, Senate, and the White House. Here's what we got in a 2-year span. American Rescue Plan, first major gun safety bill in decades, pulling out of America's longest war, that being Biden, large investment in green energy in history, millions of green energy jobs will be created over the course of the next years, lowering prescription drug costs, capping the cost of insulin at $35 out of pocket per month for Medicare recipients, allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices to get those prices down, as we're seeing now be rolled out. Ketanji Brown Jackson on the court, incredible, raising the minimum wage for federal government workers, the PACT Act, the Chips and Science Act, and of course, the once in a generation investment in infrastructure, all these necessary projects that will improve people's lives. And that's not even getting to the economic recovery. What are we getting from the Republican Party? This is what we deal with. When the Democrats had House, Senate, White House, list of policy achievements, bipartisan stuff, lots of bipartisan legislation. So it's not that they were ignoring the other party completely, but actual achievements and actual governance. We're getting chaos from this current majority in the House of Representatives. No interest in bipartisanship. And so my pleading to America is, which one sounds better? And I would venture to say that the Democratic Party having the ability to actually govern is far better. And because of this MAGA part of the GOP, it's not a serious governing party. And I hope 2024 and America's vote on that reflects that reality. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and get a bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. And there's a link in the description.